Welcome to day two of Prime Day on Amazon, where there's a lot of deals spread out across a lot of different products. And I did a stream yesterday for day one, and I covered a lot of things yesterday, mostly bags and tripods and a couple other things. And I think the standout deal for today uh, that's still available because a lot of things sold out that were like crazy ridiculous, but it's going to be the this 14 terabyte Western Digital drive. It came in same day I ordered it. I can't believe it. I've already started migrating some data to it so I can free up some other hard drive space that I need. And it's been wonderful. It's on sale now for 169, and everything is on my deal page. There's a link down below, robtrek.com/deals. That I can highly recommend. It's you know fast delivery, of course, but uh, 14 terabytes for 169. That's a little over $1 a terabyte. So that's a deal. Um, Another good deal is the Seagate 24 terabyte. Again, that's just a little bit over $1 a terabyte. It's like 269. So I'll show you those on my deal page. I just wanted to cover those two items because, as photographers, especially videographers, you need a ton of space. And I have them down here. Let's see. Right in here, the Seagate for 259. It's already back ordered a little bit. Delivery's not for another week, but the 14 terabyte drive here for 169 is still readily available. So you can get this one pretty quickly. Like I said, I got mine same day somehow. Uh, but this one here is also an excellent deal. So if you need a little more room, uh, you can work with that. And then, of course, there's one other way to go with storage and backup is, to get a NAS. This seems to be, getting really good reviews. They offered to send me one to review, but I decided against it because I don't really see myself using something like this. Uh, Having RAID capacity where back up where you virtually back up everything in real time. Not virtually, but in real time, you back up everything to two drives all the time. I'm pretty content with my chaos here of drives, creating backups as I need them. But if data is critical to you and backing up your data, then this is the way to go. And this is a really good deal. It also has some kind of neat um, AI photo recognition where it'll scan your photos and tell you, like if you want to search for people or search for animals, it'll find those particular photos for you. So it's got some neat options as well for data management. But and it also acts as I guess, what do you call it? A media storage in the sense that if you can stream things to your television, I believe. So check this out. This is kind of an interesting way to go, and it's a really good deal right now. $339. Uh, and all the specs here. I'm not quite as familiar. That's the other reason I didn't take this is because I'm not quite as familiar with working with NAS storage, network attached storage, where it either goes through Wi-Fi or you hook it up directly to your router for data backup. But if you're more familiar with this kind of product, this looks like a great deal to me. Okay, let me go to the chat section real quick and catch up and say hello. Um, I see. Let's see. Let me open up my chat window. Darko is here. It's always good to see you, Darko. Having a good day. Darko says, been in a slump as of late in photography. Will catch a stream later tonight. See what's up on Prime. I got 1 month free with a Fire Stick and might need some accessories like smaller ball head. Okay, we'll look at some smaller ball heads. I didn't look at those today, but I did pick out a few new things. And winter's coming fast. Yeah, fall birding season is here for us as well, actually. And any suggestions for tabletop macro setups would be good if there's any cheaper deals for overhead shots, the arms and stands possibly. Okay, I can talk about that because I do a little bit of that myself. Um, and Henning is here. Good to see you, Jeff Painter, John Yutze. Thinking about an inexpensive carbon fiber tripod with decent ball head. Okay, let me make some notes as I go along because I really did a bad job of talking about Flash yesterday when someone asked me about it because I wasn't keeping notes and my memory's not what it used to be. So we want to look at overlay. I like to call it overlay photography from Darko and also macro setups. And then for desktop, right? Desktop. And John wants to look at some carbon fiber tripods. Okay, there's a lot of variety there. And ATR Bear, good to see you. And NAS is good for when you're remote and can offload your stuff back. Oh, that's true, right? Because you'll have if you have Wi-Fi access from your hotel or wherever you're traveling, you can back up your photos back up to your home hard drive, which is kind of cool. And $10 for not one. Oh, sorry, my math is off. You're right. $10 a terabyte, a little over 10. Uh, my bad. I'll tell you exactly what it is. $4. Yeah, so 170 divided by 14 is $12 a terabyte. Just to give you a little precision, and 270 divided by 24, it's $11 a terabyte. So the 24 terabyte is just a hair better deal uh, than the 14 terabyte, but I would say they're pretty much equal because you lose a little bit when you format the drive. My drive came formatted with NTFS, uh, so I didn't have to format it, and I did a disk check, and everything seems to be fine, and I've been backing up things, so things are good. And good morning, Wayne. And Peter, would you recommend the Ollie 17 1.8 or any small comparable lens? Uh, I think uh, there's really, if you want to look at a small prime, the 17 millimeter 1.8, the Olympus, and then the 15 millimeter 1.7 from Panasonic. Those are two excellent choices. The 15 millimeter, I believe, I don't own that lens. I want it, but I believe is sharper across the range from wide open to uh, stop down. So that to me is probably the sharper of the two lenses, but you're going to pay probably twice as much, given whatever deal you can find. So we'll look at a couple of wide angle primes. There's also the 14 millimeter 2.8 pancake, which Robin Wong seems to like, but a lot of people are not a big fan of. Uh, it's a Panasonic pancake, and I know the autofocus is slow on it, particularly for video, but that's even more compact and uh, a lot of people say it's pretty sharp, actually. So, and it's a little cheaper than the 17-1.8 from Olympus, but the 17-1.8 from Olympus is going to have faster motors in them, autofocusing motors, and work much better for video if you do anything like that, particularly with the phase detect cameras that we have. Wide angle primes. So those are the three lenses I would consider. The Panasonic 14-2.8, if you're talking about just point and shoot stuff. The 15 millimeter 1.7, if you have a little bit bigger budget, it's going to be the better lens. And then the 17-1.8 from Olympus. And Olympus has the newer one, if you want weather sealing, has a newer 17. Yeah, they have a newer 17-1.8 with weather sealing, which you're going to pay about same price as the 15. So if you need weather sealing, I would go with the 1718 from Olympus, the version 2. I'm not sure if the 15 is weather sealed or not. I don't think it is. And also, I'll note that the 15 millimeter has an aperture ring on it that only works on Panasonic cameras. It doesn't work with the Olympus cameras. And then there's, yeah, the 1728 from Olympus. That lens, if you want a pancake lens, I would probably lean towards the 1428 rather than the 1728 because I like that focal length better. But I believe it is a sharper lens than the 1728 from Olympus. But it's also about the same price as the 1428. So you kind of got your pick there. Oh yeah, the 17 1.2 is beautiful. Yes. Okay. So let me go through a few of the deals I found, what's new from since yesterday. And like I said, I didn't do a good job with compact portable flashes yesterday and some of the deals here. These are all really good deals. We'll start here with the Viltrox, and I'm going to go over some of the nuances between all these different flashes. And there's a couple you probably might want to avoid that I didn't list here. But between 43, this one's 30. Yeah, so between $12 and $43, what's the difference? Well, it's primarily the light output. Okay. So if we start here with the media light, this is the smallest one for $32. And I recommended this in one of my streams a couple months ago, and a lot of people bought this and they got a great deal on it. And it's a great little flash. So I have that right here, this this one here, right? So these are kind of all the flashes I kind of want to talk about today a little bit when it comes to compact portable flashes. I have this. This is the FLM3, which we're all familiar with. Uh, and I might have one other small one. Oh, this one. So we'll talk about these very quickly and why you would pick one over the other because they're all within the $30 to $50 range, right? Well, the one is $70, but when we're talking about this range of price, it's not much between 30 to 70, right? I know it's double the price. Percentage wise, it's 100 over 100% increase, right? But we're talking about something you're going to be using and what you're going to be using it for. So let's start with like the media flash. Oops, the media flash here, right? 30, what's this? $32. Okay, this flash is a great supplement to the FLM3, like on the OM5 Mark II, is not compatible with the FLM3 anymore. And these are about the same size for all intents and purposes. They both have tilt up, right? One advantage this has, this also rotates to the side. So those are you know, these are the kind of same things, and they have about the same light output. This is just a little brighter, the FLM3. Not enough to make the call though. Uh, now, the FLM3 has a lot of advantages, but if you have the OM5 Mark II, it's moot, right? The point is moot. But this has a lot of advantages, right? It doesn't need its own battery. It runs off the camera battery, so that's kind of a pro and con. Also, mostly pro, but if you have smaller batteries and you're doing a lot of flash, you're gonna have to carry extra batteries because it's gonna drain your battery quite a bit if you're using it a lot. But that's one of the pros. It's also TTL compatible, so you can use this in program mode or aperture priority, whatever. It'll automatically adjust the light output to sort of match the scene roughly, right? And that's really it for this. That's the main two main advantages. The main disadvantages of this is you cannot use it off camera, right? Well, one other advantage this has, you can control other Olympus flashes with this, not Godox or any other brand, but if you have Olympus FL700s and stuff, you can control other flashes with this. Uh, so those are the main disadvantage is you can't use this off camera, and it doesn't. Uh, yeah, that's the main thing is you can't use this off camera, and it doesn't work with the new OM5 Mark II. Other than that, this is a good little flash. So if you have this, there's really no reason to get this. That said, uh, if you don't have this flash, this costs about twice as much. So if you're thinking, let's say you have an OM5 Mark I or old other camera that works with this flash, uh, should you buy this or should you buy this? Okay, I would say probably still get the FLM3, but this has some advantages over the FLM3. Uh, the main one being is that it has its own internal battery, right? So it's not going to drain off the camera. Another one is this can be used off camera. It comes with its own transmitter, so you can take this off camera, particularly for macro close-up work, and put it in front of the lens to take a picture of the bugs or flowers or whatever, and get side lighting. So this has its own wireless trigger built in. Uh, and they're both USB-C charge, and it's adjustable. It's full manual, so there's no TTL. But for macro work and most things, that's not a big deal. It's simple, 4 levels. Uh, so that's what I like about this. That I can easily just pop this off the camera and use it off camera and use side lighting. So for macro work, close-up work, this is a better choice. It's also good if you don't care about TTL, it's also perfectly fine as a fill-in flash, right? Just as good as the FLM3. And you don't have to worry about draining the camera's battery. So those are pretty significant advantages with about the same light output. Like I said, it's not quite as strong as this one, but more than enough for something like this. So I still recommend this flash. I've used it. Now, what are the weaknesses? And this also applies to the FLM3, okay? Is the recycle times. If you're shooting at full power, recycle time is like 5, 6 seconds, and as the battery gets on a full battery, it's like full 4 seconds. But after you fire it a few times at full power, you're down to about a 5 to 6 second recycle time. You set the power in half, or set it down to a quarter, or to the minimum here, which is what, probably 1/8. Then the recycle times are almost instantaneous. But uh, the problem is, if you want to do focus bracketing and things like that, you're going to have to set up a major delay to your flash, and the subject better not be moving, which is very unusual, and particularly outdoor macro photography. Indoor stuff, you can kind of get by with this. It's a little frustrating to wait 5 or 6 seconds or a couple of seconds between each flash, but this will work in a pinch for focus bracketing as well. Just like the FLM3, it has kind of the same. This can operate at a lower power output, so you get faster recycle times, less power. But in practice, they're about the same. So I and this is half the price as the FLM3. So I like this better than the FLM3 for those reasons, because those are pretty significant. Being able to detach it and not having to drain the camera battery. Uh, and you get plenty of flashes out of this. Once it starts to go low, just recharge it. Takes about 30 minutes, with a power bank or something. So there's that. Uh, Now, another flash that we can look at, let's go down to this cheaper one here. Let's look at the cheaper ones. This one here, it's very low power, but it's very cheap. And what's the this has a guide number of 12. So it's about the same on paper. It's about the same as the FLM3 and this little media light. I haven't tested this flash myself, so I don't know actually how bright it is in comparison. Because guide numbers are a little misleading sometimes. Because it's about the spread of light, how focused is the light, and I don't know. That I feel like they make up these numbers sometimes. But again, this one is not TTL compatible, but I'm sure this is going to work fine as a fill-in flash, right? And it's on camera, but it doesn't tilt, but it does have its own internal battery. And again, I'm sure the recycle times are not great, for something like this. They probably don't even mention it in here. So guide number of 12, 8 power levels, 5600 Kelvin temperature. The other thing you have to be careful of, I don't know if you guys are critical about color, but these flashes, whether it's the larger ones, any of the larger ones or the smaller ones, you have to be really careful with when you're using lower power, less than full power, particularly these small ones, right? Uh, the color temperature changes. It gets a lot cooler because the flash doesn't finish the cycle. For like a full power pop would be full cycle. Half power would be a half a cycle. So the shorter the cycle of the flash, typically the cooler the color temperature. Uh, that's just a side note. It's not a big deal. It's easy enough to adjust white balance in post processing. But and if it's unlike this one here, the TTL compatible flashes, you don't have to worry about white balance quite as much because it communicates with the camera, the power output, and then the camera knows what to do with white balance, right? In theory, in theory, but always, always, always use color cards, white, gray cards, things like that. If color is important to you, you're probably doing that stuff anyway. Uh, but just be aware. Okay. Um, Now I'm going to try and pay attention to the chat. Do any of them have S1 or S2? Oh, okay. Uh, that's a good point. This one does not have S1 or S2. So this cannot be fired off camera via another flash. So what what I forget, Paul is asking about if this can be fired off camera via an optical trigger. So when you fire this flash will see it and fire at the same time. So this one doesn't have that, just like the FLM3, it doesn't have that. Uh, but some of them do. All right. So this one here that we were just looking at, I guarantee doesn't, not at this price point. And even if it did, the optical triggers in these are very, very unreliable, except indoors. Indoors, usually you're okay with optical triggers, especially at closer distances. But if you have optical trigger flashes set up like in a studio using larger flashes, uh, it depends on the brand. The Godoxes are getting better with the optical triggers, but uh, if you're just set up on a table and you got flashes set up as optical, to set up to trigger optically, you'll be okay with any of these, right? That have that ability. But it's just when you start to get more than a meter, 2 meters, more than 6 feet away, that's when you start to get misfires and it's not reliable. So I recommend you only use radio triggers. Okay, and I'll talk about radio triggers if you guys are interested. Okay, so Paul says he uses one on a rim light with an optical trigger. Yep. Yeah, so if it's a larger flash, the optical triggers are generally better, right? And it's if you can, you always rotate the flash so you have line of sight so that this is pointed towards the flash that's firing to trigger this one. Okay, so this is better than nothing, all right? For $11.69, This will be fine for just fill-in light, like when you're going out and taking pictures of friends and family indoors. This kind of lighting is perfectly fine. Uh, this diffuser is basically useless. Um, I wouldn't worry about that so much. But like this is very close, right? This is less than 6 feet. This is probably 4 feet distance. This is what this is going to work well in these kind of situations. Okay. And then they also mentioned on here 1 to 7 second recycling. So 1 second is probably at the lowest power setting, and then 7 seconds is probably if you do a full power pop. So just keep in mind focus bracketing and things like that. And if you're doing portraits for some reason with this thing, you're going to have a 7 second delay. Okay. All right. Now moving up, let's see. This is a $21 flash from Newer or Newer. It's Newer. It's pronounced Newer. But this one does have S1 and S2 mode. Has a decent sized battery, guide number of 15, so that's pretty good. Uh, more than enough light to go even 10 or 15 feet, right? Like 3 to 4 meters. This will have more than enough light. Uh, and it's also full manual, so no TTL compatibility. It doesn't tilt, although you can get the risers for these, but uh, and what I like about this one is it has a digital display to show you the power output. I have a hard time reading the tiny numbers on some of these small flashes. So it does have an optical trigger, and you can see the optical trigger up here in the corner. So when you mount this, you want to make sure that's pointing towards the other flashes as much as possible if you're going to use this off camera. And its own built-in internal battery. This is a really good deal, okay, for a guide number 15 or a 20-watt second flash. Uh, and I would probably get this over almost any of the other ones if you need more power output. If you don't care about using it off camera, I mean, if you're gonna use it off camera, you're gonna need two flashes, right? One on the camera. Maybe your camera has a pop-up flash built in, like the old EM10s and some of the older Nikons have pop-up flashes built in. Uh, then you can use this off camera, and you're hand holding typically for close-up photography. Then this will be great. This will be great, and it's easy to adjust the power. Has a nice physical dial on the back, and then it has a push button for the power. It's probably one of those push and holds. So I really like this flash for this price point, $22. Okay, if you need more power and you want S1, S2 capability, assuming you have a flash, and it looks like on the front here, oh, no, maybe not. What is that on the front? There's a little hole. At first, I thought maybe it was a PC sync port, but trigger S1, S2. Yeah, they don't, I don't know what that is on the front. There's a little hole right here, but they don't tell you exactly what that is. If it's a PC sync port, great, then you can use this off camera using a cable. Like, what is this? This is the same thing. It is a PC sync port. Okay, so, ah, wow. Hold on, this is a different flash. This is the Z160. They're both the Z160, so why do they want so much more for that other one? Because all they did was give you, okay, so they're giving you a plate and a case. Oh, so they're doing some value adds. I probably wouldn't do that. You probably already have a PC sync port or PC sync cable. So you can use this with film cameras, old film cameras or any camera that has a PC sync port on it. A lot of the higher end cameras have them now. Many of the old film cameras have PC sync ports, but they don't have they have a cold shoe with no pins on them, right? But they have a PC sync port. So like the older rangefinder pocket cameras that are film. So yeah, so this has a little more versatility than I thought. So this looks like an amazing deal. Uh, I don't see any reason not to get this one other than it doesn't have that tilt capability for bounce flash. But on these little tiny flashes, they don't generally have enough power to bounce off anything anyway. Okay, let me check the chat real quick. And so I like that it's elevated. I bought the Godox IM30, but it picks up the lens hood on my X100. Really? Even on an X100 VI? Uh, okay, so the IM30, that's this one right here, right? I have, uh, I don't know where I put it. It might be in my bag here. I misplaced it already. It's not in here, is it? No, no way. But they sell risers, right? I have it on my deal page also. Um, it's a bit further down. All of it. I talked about a lot of this stuff yesterday. You can get one of these, right? This is a TTL compatible one. This is the Olympus, but they have Sony, Fuji, and Nikon. It's not that expensive. You can get one of these. Uh, that will help, right? The only thing you have to be careful of is when you tilt that thing back, it's going to hit your forehead, right? Because now the flash is, now the flash is like tilting back, and you're not going to be able to get your eye up to the EVF. I think on the X100V, since it's a little off center, like rangefinder style, you might be okay. But just keep that in mind when you buy these risers. They tend to put the flash behind the camera so that I wish I could I wish I could find mine so I could demo it directly. But as you can see, when you rise it up and then you tilt it back like this, all of a sudden it's behind the camera and it's going to be harder to get your eye up to the EVF. So that's the only thing about those risers, right? Okay. Uh, but it's one solution, right? And they sell smaller risers that don't tilt back. I mean, if you don't tilt it back, you'll be fine. But they sell smaller ones that don't tilt back. I do have one of those too somewhere. Um, oh, never mind. I put it where it's supposed to be. This is mine, right? This is one of my tilting risers. This is a generic one, but it also I got this one because it has a PC sync port, right? So and it has a pin here, so this will fire. And then this is even a smaller one that doesn't tilt with a PC sync port, uh, but it's manual only. Maybe this is all you need is something like this, or you can get the one that tilts. This is like $10. This is like $14. So you can kind of take your pick. This is a little bit probably more appropriate for your X100, right? So that's not a bad way to go. Uh, and let me check the chat. So Sean, hopefully that gives you some ideas to work with the IM30. So many primes. I'm starting to pick up all I have are 46 millimeter thread. Is there a good deal on the polarizer? And I might have one, yeah. Um, Let me see. I think I added it this morning. Let me go back to the top here. This is a good deal. It's on my deal page near the top. Uh, UV, CPL, and ND is probably an ND8 or something. It's an ND4. At least it's something. I prefer like the double ND filters, double ND CPL kit. This is the ND CPL UV kit, and it comes with a really nice case. The case alone is almost worth $13, but you get three filters and uh, yeah, 50% off. And there's a couple other sizes on sale in here that you can check out as well. But this is the best one, I believe. This is the best deal. Okay. Um, so again, that's right. It's like the third or fourth row on my deal page. Okay. And good morning, Robert. Good to see you. And then yeah, we'll go back to the flashes in a minute, Paul, and talk about S1, S2 on some of these other flashes. And Swamp says your tutorials have been very valuable. Oh, you're welcome. And Greg asks thoughts on Panasonic full frame. Friend is considering the S line. Okay, I have been a big fan. I used to have the Panasonic S1R and the Panasonic S5. And just because I got rid of them doesn't mean that I didn't think they were fabulous cameras. The S5 I bought originally because I was doing more video work, and then COVID hit and all the jobs went away. So I sold it because I didn't really need it for photography. I prefer my Micro Four Thirds systems. Uh, then I got a really good deal on an S1R a couple of years ago, uh, the Mark One, and it's one of my biggest regrets was selling that. Um, and the reason I did was because it was two reasons. It was big and heavy, right? It's a kilo just for the camera. Then you throw on a half a kilo lens, and I found that a little bit daunting to take out with me on a regular basis. Uh, Now the S1R Mark II has kind of resolved some of that. It's 300 grams lighter, so that's a big deal, right? Now I can have the camera and a lens combo that's about the same weight as just the camera alone before. But uh, the other reason I didn't keep it is because the thing I take the most pictures of is my dog. And the eye detect for the animal, it doesn't technically have eye detect for animals, but it never it was too slow. It just could not capture her even walking from point A to point B hardly and capture focus. Certainly not on the eye. Uh, so that was that. But that's what I mean by everybody has their own perfect camera, right? Or preferences. For landscape, portrait, human detect that wasn't bad. The eye detect, human detect. Uh, and general point and shoot travel. I mean, what's amazing about the Panasonic line, the L mount, is the glass that is available is stupendous. Excellent glass. The 50 millimeter, the 35, the 85. They have a couple other zooms that are really good. The 24 to 105. These lenses resolving power that for the money that you pay for you can get three primes for about $1,000, on the used market. And if you wait for really good sales, you can get them. Like I was able to get the 50 millimeter prime for $250, brand new, warranty, everything. But the glass is amazing. You will get the sharpest, most clinically sharp. Some people don't like that. Just put a glimmer glass on it. But the lenses and the performance of those lenses far outweighs the price that you pay for them. And that's across the entire line of their glass. Sigma also makes excellent lenses for them. So you have a really good variety of lenses. And they just recently came out with the 100 to 500, which is amazing. So I love the glass that you can get with it. The autofocusing system is more than adequate. I know it's that people say it's not as good as Sony, Canon, but who is, okay? You know, it's more than good enough. The autofocusing performance that I've seen in some of the reviews have been to my satisfaction, right? Meaning I'm not going to take like one or two shots, and if one is out of focus, get upset, right? I'm going to be taking hundreds of shots in every session, and I'm certainly going to have more than enough in focus because and it's going to continually improve. That's one thing good about Panasonic. They continually do firmware updates to improve the autofocusing and add features. Like they added OpenGate to the S1R2, 8K video. I mean, the and I'm gassing for an S1R Mark II so bad because I would love to get back into the L-mount system for the glass. The glass is amazing for the price point that you pay, and the images that you get from, at least that I got from my S5 and my S1R, uh, were just gorgeous. They had a certain depth and vibrancy to them uh, that I've not seen in any other camera. Uh, there's just something about it. And I attribute a lot of that to the lenses that you can get for it. So I would not hesitate to recommend any Panasonic Lumix camera to anyone that's interested in them. If they like that camera and the price point is cheaper than a lot of the competitors, especially if you're talking about video capability, then definitely get one. And there's a lot of back and forth online that I see. Some people say I switched from Sony to Panasonic for this, and other people said, okay, I sold my Panasonic and had to go back to Sony or Canon. Check all of those out and see if they're hitting on areas that may be of concern to whoever is thinking about buying this. But for me, as primarily a photographer, I look at the lens and the optical glass. Now that they have phase detect autofocus, it's going to perform more than good enough for the needs that I'm going to be using it. Uh, if I had the budget, I would definitely have an S1R Mark II right now, and I would have the 35 to 50. I don't really need 85 too much, but I'd probably get the 24 to 105 and maybe the 28. I think there's a 28 also. These are the lenses I would get. And then now that they have a 100 to 500, I would be fully flushed out. 24 to 105, 100 to 500, a 50 prime, a 35 prime, and a 28 prime. Uh, or instead of the 28 prime, just get the 20 to 60 kit lens uh, to cover that wide angle range. That would probably be better. So 20 to 60, 35, 50, 24 to 105, and 100 to 500 with any of the S line Mark IIs. I wouldn't get any of the Mark Ones because the autofocus is it's contrast only, and it is a little rough, especially for video. Okay. Uh, so hopefully that gives you my perspective on it. And like I said, I would definitely get back into that system if I had the money for it. I would do it. And Marco's here. Good morning. You're in on time today or earlier. I use a tripod once every 3 years for family portraits and apps. So I picked up a 42 Yongnuo Mark II since it got great reviews for $110. Yes, that's a good deal. And oh, the Luxmaster. Yes. So let's let me just check my notes here. So, uh, carbon fiber tripods. So let me finish up as fast as I can on the flashes, then we'll get to the next thing. So I spent a long time on it. Panasonic S. You can tell I gave it some thought, right? Um, so I want that so bad. All right, so moving quickly, Viltrox has a couple here. They have this one here, which is manual only, and it's kind of a retro style. And then they have the Viltrox Spark, which is new, and this is kind of a industrial futurism style. Okay. This one also has S1, S2 off camera. Really good deal. Guide number 15, I believe. Oh, this is probably guide number 16, 24 watt second. So this is very, very similar to the uh the Spark Flash that I just reviewed. And it's available TTL for Fuji. Oh wait, this is the Spark. Okay, so this is not TTL. This is manual only. And it has a simple physical dial for the power output and a physical dial for the power switch, which I really like. Good battery inside and also the S1, S2 modes over here. So I'm assuming they based that flash off of this one, right? For $8 more, I'll get this one, unless you just can't stand how this looks. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Uh, but this really does it all. Lots of power, really good recycle times, like 1 second recycle time at full power. And the 24, 25 watt seconds that this outputs is brighter than the Godox IT30 and the IM30 by almost a stop, about two-thirds of a stop brighter. That's pretty significant. But the main thing is and better battery life, but it has two things that it's really good at. Like I said, the very fast recycle times. So let me see, I still have my notes from when I reviewed this here. Um, I can't even read my notes anymore. Such I have such slop here. Okay, so at 1/64th power, I got 128 flashes before it started to slow down. Wait, is this the right flash? Yeah. At 1/16th power, I got 122 flashes straight before it started to slow down. And at 1/8 power, I got misfires almost right away. So you have to be careful with if you're going to use this in manual mode. At 1/8 power, you're going to have to put like a 1 second delay. So I'm gonna assume that this flash has a very similar performance because they probably based this Spark Flash off of that. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty good. And it's only slowing down, I believe, because of the camera buffer, or it might be overheating. I didn't distinguish which in my notes here. I did in my video because it was fresh in my mind at the time. And if you put a 1 second delay, I got uh, 400 flashes. Okay, so I'm sorry. Yeah, this 1/64th power, 1/16th power, this 120 plus flashes, that's because of the buffer in my Fuji X-H2 slowing down. So this was able to keep up to 1/16th power until the buffer started to slow down. So keep that in mind for manual and TTL mode. For full manual mode, at 1/64th power, 1/32nd power, I got 400 plus flashes with a 1 second delay. I mean, virtually unstoppable. At 1/16th power, I got 200 flashes, okay, uh, without any misfires. At 1/8 power, I started to get misfires. And at 1/4 power, Uh, with a 1 second delay, I got 220 flashes, but then I believe it was overheating at 220 flashes at 1/4 power. So what I'm getting at is for focus bracketing, this thing is awesome. Okay. And it does set up a little bit higher, so I didn't have any problems with shading unless I was really, really close. But I didn't have any problems with lens shade onto the subject, especially if I put the diffuser on the front. That pretty much mitigated any shading that would happen any, if at all, depending on the lens, right? If you got a long ass lens, of course, right? But like the 18 to 55 kit lens, even zoomed out, is fine with this. This is an awesome flash for $43. If you don't need the TTL, you can save a little money and get this for $36 and get really, really excellent performance. I haven't tested this one, but I'm making an assumption that that it's gonna have very similar performance to this one. But either way, these are amazing. You can buy this for your Olympus camera if you just want to use it in manual mode. But if you can, maybe wait for a TTL version of this to come out. And it has S1 and S2 mode. But it doesn't tilt, right? So yeah, there's this Nikon version. This is the Sony version. $44. So these are the flashes that I'm going to recommend if you want portable flashes, depending on what your needs are. If you have very minimal needs, you can get away with this $12 one. If you want a little bit of flexibility with off camera, you can get this one for 32. But if you want more power and fast recycle times, uh, and long battery life, get this one. This one is also very good. It's not as bright as this one, but it's going to have little slower recycle times. I haven't tested this one, but I would imagine it's only 20 watts seconds, so it's probably a full stop darker than this one. But if you're on a very, very tight budget, this is a good little flash. So that's all I had that I wanted to talk about flash. Uh, the IM30. These are the Godox versions. These are on sale. Like this is like $10 off right now, $69. This I'm sorry, IT30 is TTL compatible. There's also a trigger receiver built in, so you can use this to control other Godox flashes off camera by radio, or you can use this off camera by radio. So you can pick up 2 or 3 of these for $69 each. And in a small studio, it's actually bright enough, even shooting through an umbrella, right? So these are great. For macro photography, it's pretty good. Good recycle times and pretty good stamina. The only problem is, like, you can fire off 100 shots probably. I still don't have my notes here for this. Let me see. Uh, I got 98 at 116 power. I got 98 fires before it started to slow down. But at 1/8 power, yeah, it immediately started to misfire. Unless you're in TTL mode. If you use it in, I'm sorry, if you use it on the OM system, it'll communicate with the camera and not misfire, right? Only if, yeah, so it's not going to misfire on an Olympus OM system camera. If you use it with a camera that it's made for, like I have the Olympus one here, you're not going to get misfires, but it's going to slow down at 1/8 power. It's going to have to wait between each shot. And at 1/32 power, I got 206 flashes with no problem. The only caveat to this flash, right, is it doesn't have as good a heat management and it has a smaller battery, say, than uh, this is, you can tell by the physical size. This has a bigger, more powerful battery and better cooling capacity. So the heat management in this is not as good. Because what I noticed is that after you fire through 98 shots, for example, right? If you go through, your 98 or 200 shots, it takes a few minutes for this thing to cool down. Otherwise, you're going to have very slow firing. It's going to go pop, pop, pop like every second. when it's in overheating mode. Uh, but if you're doing like your standard in-camera stacking, where it's like 15 frames, right? You do 15 frames, you're not gonna have any problems, right, with overheating, generally speaking. But it's when you start doing these really deep stacks, 100 shots, this thing will overheat, and you have to wait a few minutes for it to cool off before you get that burst again. Otherwise, it's gonna fire like every second. But other than that, uh, it has a lot of pros, right? The pros mainly being is this is cheaper than buying a trigger separately. So I tell people, no need to buy this X3, which is like 80 bucks. Just get this for 69 or $75 is the regular price. This does pretty much everything this does. This has a few extra features like modeling lamps, and it can control 4 groups and or maybe 16. This does a lot more stuff. But for most people, controlling 3 groups, nobody cares about the modeling lamp, right? Uh, this will control 3 groups off camera, right? Unlimited number of flashes, obviously, but three separate groups. So, and it has a PC sync port, built-in battery, all that stuff. This is a great flash. No question, this is an excellent flash. And if you're in the Godox system, I recommend this instead of buying a trigger. Just start with this flash and you'll be fine. But it does sit very low to the camera. So if you're going to use this for macro, you most likely are going to need some kind of diffuser, right? To put in front of it. This is how I use it with my macro work. And it's been great because I typically just do 15 frame stacks, so I'm not having overheating issues. But yeah, so this is great. All right. But if you are a professional, generally you do want to use a dedicated trigger. This is currently released and available, the X3 touchscreen, uh, which is fine. A lot of people like the touchscreen. I've gotten used to it now. I prefer more tactile, like the older triggers, but they're big. This is tiny, right? This is a tiny little flash. And then they have this one that I'm going to review soon. This is the new one. This is already on B&H's website. This is their Pro model. A little bigger, right? But still smaller than their. Do I have it here? I have the other triggers too. Yeah, still smaller than their, you know, their older triggers. But this is tactile, right? You have all these buttons down the side, the wheel, more buttons here, a couple of switches on the side. This one is just mainly touchscreen operation. But this will do everything and more that this one is, right? So look for this review coming up in a few weeks. But it's been announced, but it hasn't been released yet officially. Okay. One last flash. There's also the IT20 on sale. These are only $5 off each. This one is a pretty good deal, $50 off. The IT20 is this one I believe is also TTL compatible. Has a nice digital display and is a Godox. Uh, Decent recycle time. Suppose that I'm going to get a couple of these in to review. We'll see. We'll see how this performs. But I would imagine it's going to have some of the same issues the IT30 has with stamina, right? For doing deep macro stacking. But other than that, this is great. The TTL compatibility. This is half the price of the FLM3. So if you want a really compact flash like the old FLM3 that's TTL compatible like the FLM3, this might be the go-to going forward. It doesn't have the built-in radio trigger. I mean, the screen is too small to do any of that, but we'll see. I like how compact it is, and it's going to be more than bright enough with a guide number of what, 10 or something. I'm not worried about the brightness so much. What I'm worried about is the stamina for doing macro work. That's something I'm going to test for because that's something no other reviewer does when they review these little flashes and things. Is they just show a couple of flashes and that are fun when you go out with your friends and stuff. Maddie did a good job, but Maddie did a good job with Spark Flash, right? Showing settings and things, but nobody tested for the stamina of the flash, like things that we would use it for as macro photographers, close-up photography type stuff, right? And that's just as important for many of us. And that's why I'm including that now in my reviews when I do flash reviews, because that's really quite important. Okay, let me check the chat section real quick. So the last thing is the Luxmaster, and then I'm going to answer the questions here. So I have the Luxmaster. I love this thing for doing event photography. This has a PC sync port, which it comes with its own L bracket here if I can loosen it right. And then this really old school, dish um, for anyway. Uh, and the bulb in here, you just push that to pop it out. I wish it didn't pop out so hard. It makes me nervous. But let me stretch this out. There we go. I'm trying to do it one-handed. I'm not quite good at it. But you mount any camera to this. I typically have my OM1 mounted to it, but imagine if I had my OM3 on this. Where's my OM3? My OM3 would be amazing on this. I mean, now I'm like full on hipster, right? But in reality, and then you would need an X3 trigger or a PC sync cable on top. So this would be your setup, right? And it's adjustable. 200 bucks for this flash. It's almost as bright as a V1, not quite. Maybe a half a stop darker. Uh, but this also tilts, right? Tilts up and down. It doesn't tilt backwards or rotate, but it does tilt up. Uh, Full on touchscreen back here, but you can control everything with the wheel if you want. This wheel and button. Um, but it has the radio trigger built in, so it's I think it's receiver only. I don't think I can control other flashes with this. Let me see. TTL, go to the wire. I can't remember. Yeah, it's receiver mode only. But this is if you do event photography, man, people will love you. They will be begging you to take their picture. When I have this set up like this, I did do one event, not paid. I did do one event though. Uh, I went out for 4th of July, and then I went out to another, I don't know, some corporate thing where I was invited, not as a photographer, but just just I was invited because there's free food. I said, yeah, I'll go. I'll go. Free food, thanks, man. I'll definitely go to that. It's a big, huge seafood buffet, man. So, but I brought my camera. I didn't have to deliver any pictures, but I brought this, and everybody was like, "Oh man, that's such a cool camera. Take my picture," you know. And then they want to see it. And this light output is really nice, actually. This little dish, even though it's kind of specular, it does spread the light just enough, and it's a little bit off center. I don't know what it is, but the light output from this is a little different than say using a Godox V1 or on a square head flash. It does make a nice light. So If you want to have some fun in flash photography, I highly recommend this. It's not very practical for studio work. Like if you want to use this off camera in a modifier, it is a little bit awkward. It can be done, but it's not designed for that, obviously. But I like how compact it is. This what I do is I take the reflector off, and then I just slide this in my bag. Doesn't take up any room at all, right? And then this just fits in a little pocket. So definitely, that flash is a lot of fun. Uh, just remember, you need to fire it somehow, either with a PC sync cable. Like this camera doesn't have a PC sync cable. Ironically, it has a vintage style, but no PC sync cable. So you're gonna have to use a radio trigger of some kind. I think the X3 is perfect for that because it has an auto syncing feature and stuff. But um, you add the trigger and the flash together, you're out almost 300 bucks. So it's definitely a first world type problem, right? Just definitely just for fun and not for uh people on a budget or people that have a budget, I should say. Because there's a difference, right? Some people have a budget and some people are on a budget because they have to be. But some people just have a budget because they want to be, not because they can't afford it, right? Okay, and the TT Artisan APS-C 7.5 2.0 or the 7 Artisans 4 millimeter fisheye, which one would you choose? I ordered the 7 Artisans yesterday, uh, and thinking if I should cancel. Okay, so the the big difference between these two lenses depends on the camera you have. Uh, I can speak to Micro Four Thirds. The 4 millimeter, right? The 4 millimeter is a full circular fisheye. It is awesome. It is awesome. I will take that over the 7.5 millimeter any day. Uh, but the 7.5 millimeter has is a little more practical, right? Because it's more rectilinear. It still has sort of that fisheye effect. I don't know if let me see if I can find a couple images for you real quick so I can explain this. Okay, so yeah, here are my on my Micro Four Thirds camera. These are some of the images I took with the 4 millimeter fisheye. So if you have some depth, like if there's some range here, you get kind of this image. But when you have the most fun is when you get really up close. You get a full the frickin' lens sees behind the camera. So I can see the ground all the way around here. This is all grass going all the way around because I pointed the camera almost straight up over my head. So you're gonna have to practice a little bit. I did some really cool astrophotography with it. Does a nice job there. Here's another like world view shot where I just put the camera up over my head. This was at the ginkgo tree thing. Uh, there's some ground level stuff. There's another astro shot. You can almost see the Milky Way here. This is a single shot, right? Um, so there's my friend there, but this is a very specialized lens, but it's a lot of fun. Now, this tree looks like it's really far away, but you know what? This tree is probably only about a foot away from the lens. I'm probably only this far away, if I remember correctly. I'm not very far. And then doing star trails is freaking amazing with this thing. All kinds of things you can do with this lens. It's just a lot of fun, right? There's another star trail one I did, another tree one. And again, you can see the grass all the way around. I'm seeing a full 360 degrees around me with this lens. So I would recommend you keep that lens. because it's so much fun, just like the flash I was just talking about. But let me see if I have a 7.5 millimeter photos in here. I don't. Let me show you an 8 millimeter. How come it's not finding any? Here we go. Uh, I haven't finished 8 millimeter. Come on. TT Artisan. Sorry, I can't show you any pictures. Let me just go. Well, here's a 10 millimeter. This is pretty close. The 7.5 millimeter is going to give a very similar image to this on a Micro Four Thirds camera, where you got some uh, distortion, right? Fisheye distortion, but not circular. It's going to be more like this, and uh, so this is a little bit more usable on a regular basis, right, for wide angle shots. Oh, I have exactly. I have a lens very similar to that. My 14 millimeter. These are all corrected for rectilinear, but this is the kind of field of view you're going to get with the 7.5 millimeter. And you have to do corrections in post processing to get the image square. Otherwise, you're going to get sort of that fisheye distortion. But so it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for more of a rectilinear but distorted look, wide angle, the 7.5 millimeter is a decent lens. If you want to have, if you're looking for more of a fun, creative type lens, the circular fisheye one is the way to go. And between the two, I would personally, I would keep the 4 millimeter. I think it's a lot more fun. But you definitely do want to get a super wide angle lens like the 7.5 millimeter eventually, because it is more useful for wide angle shots. Because these circular fisheye shots are just kind of things you sprinkle in every now and then, just to get that wow factor, that kind of fun look. But 7.5 millimeter is more practical because it can be corrected optically in post processing, uh, and you can get a rectilinear image, or you can leave it distorted and get these nice wide angle field of view for astrophotography and things like that. So hopefully that helps you decide between the two. Yeah, it's going to be awesome for parades and things. And Gord is here. Good to see you. Yeah, time lapse with a wide angle, definitely. All right, so there was a question about tripods. Let me check the chat. That story 6.5. Okay, I haven't seen that one, but I'm sure it's fine. I mean, he's and then Enrique said, I tried to get the Spark for Fujifilm from Amazon, but it's not available until the end of the month. Yeah. Yeah, it just came out, but once it comes, if you can get it for $43, I would definitely get it. Okay, but yeah, you have to wait. If anybody has it in stock, just get it if you want it now, but if you can wait, the deal is pretty good today. All right. So carbon fiber tripods. Okay. Let's just do a quick search, right? And I'll add them to my deal list if it's a good deal. There's a couple of ways to go. Tripods in general, right? Uh, there's a lot of different configurations. The ones that I prefer now, I don't like these ones where the legs, like this one here, right? This one here, the legs invert and fold up. That makes for a very big footprint in your bag or on your backpack or whatever. I like the ones now that collapse like this one does. This one probably doesn't have any height though, but I just wanted to show you. Like, yeah, here's one. This is pretty awesome. $15 off, so this would be in the $70 range. Carbon fiber, 53 inches. No, oh, okay, it does have a center column. So you have to be very conscious of the height. So 48 inches without, so it's going to be about this high on me. With the camera, you're about here. So you're going to be tilting down a little bit without extending the center column. But with the center column extended, it's at 53 inches, which puts it here. And that's almost eye level, right? Or that would be eye level once you mount the camera. At least for me, I'm 5'8". Uh, no, actually, that would still be below eye level at 53. So this tripod's a little bit on the short side, but it's the advantage is going to be very, very light, right? It's going to be very lightweight and very compact when you travel. Like it's only 17 inches long and it has a very, very, very thin footprint when it's collapsed. So I have one here. I'm going to be reviewing this later this week. I'm going to try and do it this week. They keep hounding me about when you're going to have that video ready. So it'll be ready when it's ready. But I like how things collapse down, and it's still very, very compact. But this one's a lot taller, right? This one is like 68 inches or something. This is a lot taller one, but it's still relatively compact. So let's put a uh, let's put a pin on this one. Okay, I'm going to close everything else down here. Let's see what else we got. And this is a pretty good deal. All right, there's a couple of advantages here that let's see what the LT34. Okay, so the LT32. This one is also pretty good height. Okay, did they mention the height? I had this tripod. I sold it to a friend of mine. 17-inch collapsed, very small footprint, like when it's collapsed this way, right? It's going to be similar to this tripod. And overall height, I know this one's pretty tall. 62 inch. There it is. 62 inch, right? So this is this newer tripod is excellent. Okay, build quality, functionality, just about everything is excellent about this. except for the ball head itself. The ball head itself uh, has two issues for me. One is, let's see if they have a close up. All right. One is this right here, this part right here. If you're in the Peak Design system, you're going to love this, but it uses a Peak Design compatible plate and clamp. So the little square uh, plates, that's all that's going to work in this. So if you're like an Arca Swiss guy like me, this is kind of a problem, and that's the reason I sold it. I couldn't use it for that. The other thing is the ball head is inverted, right? So looking at the photos here, it's inverted, but you have to, on that particular tripod, if I recall correctly, unlike this one, like that, unlike this one, I can tilt everything like this without having to raise it. But on that tripod, you have to raise it up a little bit before you can do any kind of tilt action. Now, what this has in common with that one is you do have to raise it if you want to do 90-degree angle, right? Uh, so that's, I'm not a fan of that. But I don't generally do 90-degree angle this way with my tripods. I use L brackets, right? I love this L bracket. I just bought this. I typically just use an L bracket if I need a 90-degree angle because, the center of the sensor has to be right in line with the center of the tripod for the panoramas and things that I do for better stitching and all of that. This tripod's about $100 more than the newer one we're looking at. This tripod is uh, well over $200. But the newer tripod, this one that we're looking at, virtually the same. It's the same build quality, same functionality. It'll do everything this tripod does for $100 less, save for the plate, right? So if you're already in the Peak Design system, you'll be fine with this. If you're not, and you're an Arca Swiss person, this is going to be a little bit of a problem. Maybe not at first, but down the line, as you expand all the gear and accessories that you get, this could be a little bit of an issue. All right, so I put a pin in that one. Let's see what else they got. Um, I don't know what your budget is, but the ones that I'm looking at here, the better ones are all over $100. Here's one for 89. Okay, this looks like a good one. So $89. Oh, this is inverted too. But overall it has a relatively small profile. Converts to a monopod. This one looks pretty good. Let me put a pin on this one and then we'll do a final this is from where did it go? This one, Sue. I don't Okay, I'm just gonna mention this real quick, not because of the head here, but if you look at the legs, I hate these legs now. These little twist paint stick type legs, where it's like one twist and it comes out, then you tighten it again. These legs are a pain in the ass, I'm telling you. Uh, so I will never buy a tripod with these legs again. Let's see, Cavex. This looks really good. If it has a good height to it, what's the overall height? Oh, this is a tabletop tripod. All right, never mind. No wonder it looks so small. This one is pretty good, but it's not on sale. That's not a bad price. I have this tripod, and Surae. This has a normal ball head. What's this? This is also carbon fiber, but it's short. But I like this one too. Really high capacity. I don't know what kind of camera you have, so I need a little more information, really. It's up to 60 inches with the column extended, so that's pretty good height. Uh, 43 millimeters. So this you would need to get this if you have a heavier camera setup because this has a decent ball in it here, 43 millimeters. Uh, so if you're shooting heavier cameras and lens setups, you definitely want to get this. And that's a fair price. Not the best deal, but it's a fair price. I mean, I think this is the lowest price it's been in a while. So put a pin on that one. So let me ask you again, uh, who is asking about tripods? Because there's so much variety. I need to know if Arca Swiss is important. What, how much weight you're going to be putting on the tripod, and those are the two things, right? And what your budget is, because the features and build quality, you know, I think just under $200 is kind of the sweet spot, right, for carbon fiber tripods, right around 200 to give you the very best quality and the most features. When you start dropping down to under 150 or under $100, then there's going to be some major compromises in build quality with carbon fiber tripods. They're going to use thinner carbon fiber in the legs. They're going to use the standard candy stripe type carbon fiber, which is not as strong or rigid as, say, if you look at this one, it's kind of weaved carbon fiber. This is a lot more stronger, and it's thicker in terms of, like, they use 10 layers instead of 8 layers, and it's weaved. So this is if you're going to buy a carbon fiber tripod, I really recommend a budget closer to $200 to get a quality one, because I've seen very, very cheap. I bought one for $50 once, and it just feels cheap. Uh, and I've seen other people with like these $50 to $80 carbon fiber tripods where the center column, because carbon fiber is a little bit brittle, right? Uh, the little pins that hold the ball heads on and stuff crack, and there's no way to fix it. You have to replace the center column. So I would go with something more like this. So if we're going to talk about this, I'm going to just start here unless I hear otherwise. Um, this Surae one is probably the best deal right now. That one's 150. You can get the sticks for 100. Let's see. The Coleman. Let's start with there. Photo Pro is really good, but they're expensive. The Falcam, this is a good tripod. This is 240 bucks, but this is a good tripod. Um, really, really solid ball head that looks at least 43 millimeters. They might even mention it here. 22 millimeter, 26 millimeter tube. This has the weaving carbon fiber, 30 millimeter ball head. Okay, so it's a little bit smaller. So the overall weight of this, if I put the weight, the net weight is 1.3 kilos, so it's pretty lightweight. Standard Arca Swiss, quick release ball head. I mean, this is pricey, but this is a quality tripod. And gosh, I can't believe Coleman doesn't have any tripods on Amazon yet. Let's do what's that other brand? Ulanzi. Ulanzi has a lot of their tripods made by Coleman. This is sort of that new fancy one that people are talking about. I would avoid that personally. Just too many moving parts. I mean, it's kind of neat, but I don't know. That's a little bit too complicated. Wow, they're kind of far and few between. This small rig is pretty good, but it has a fluid head. That's inverted. This is a good one. This is a good tripod too. I'm gonna open that one. And the Cavex. This may be the best deal right now. Okay, so this one looks really good, but it's a little bit short. But it is very compact and lightweight. So I'm going to add this to the list. Because again, I'm not sure exactly what you need in terms of height and weight. This one I'll add to the list only because if you're in a Peak Design system, this is a good deal. And this is a very good tripod. The small rig one, I'm going to skip this because I don't like this inverted design and the double extension center column. And it's the standard candy cane carbon fiber. So I don't think that's as good a deal. This is very cheap, $89. So for the price, and it's tall, 62 inches. So I like this. And then this is probably my number one pick right now. $150. See the Suray, really decent ball head, weaved carbon fiber. What's the leg diameter? It's got to be 26 to 30 because it has a decent payload, 44 pounds. So 26 millimeter ball head. That's a little, oh no, 43 millimeter ball head. Sorry, 43 millimeters. So yeah, this is excellent. Low center of gravity. And they don't give any other specs. Has a good height, 60 inches with the center column. It's a 1.5 kilo in terms of weight. So it's kind of at the limit that I prefer in terms of weight. But I would say if you have the budget, this is the way to go. This Suray one. And this one, Falcam, this is pretty nice. Let's see. This is a lighter weight, 26 millimeter leg diameter, 10 kilo, extended 20 keys. So this one's not quite as strong. It's a lot more expensive. I would get the Surae over this. So we're going to skip that one. This one from GVM, 5% off. Okay. Coupon. Long as this is an Arca Swiss head, I think we'll be okay. Yeah, this has the standard Arca Swiss head. This is almost identical to the one that I have in my hand right now with the Coleman. Okay, the inverted ball head is really good for doing panoramas and things. It takes a little getting used to. It takes a little getting used to, but uh man, that GVM looks identical to this Coleman one. Almost identical. Just has some red accents, but other than that, I don't see any difference. So I would definitely consider this one or and this Cavex. I think this was too short, right? This didn't have enough height to it. 27, yeah, so this doesn't count. And this one was what? This one was a little bit on the short side, 53 inches. Let me go to my deal page again. All right, so if you're on a very tight budget, this looks like the best one I could find. This one or this K or either one. I would probably go with this one. It has a smaller footprint when it's collapsed down, right? That I talked about. And there's a $10 coupon. So you can get this, right? This was a $15 coupon. This looks like the best deal. $15 off there. This one here, yeah, I would skip this one. $89. Yeah, I would skip this. It's just that it's taller, right? But I think this one here is a better deal. Um, so now it's between these two, right? These are about the same price. Between the two, okay, the main difference is, right, you have twist lock versus flip lock. I prefer flip locks now. I used to be a twist lock guy all the time. I'm talking about the legs here, right? This is the flip lock. You know, I just prefer this now instead because I can just unlock them all. I mean, with the twist lock, it's the same thing. You just twist them a couple of turns and then open up. And then when I lock this down, I know it's locked. I can't tell you how many times I twisted and then it wasn't fully locked. This one, I don't have to worry. But anyway, whatever you prefer, twist lock or flip lock. The only thing I've noticed with flip lock, sometimes uh, if I have this hanging off my bag or something, one of the legs or flip locks will catch, and I'll take the tripod out, and one of the legs are extended. But inverted ball head is the other key difference, right? The inverted ball head is just as functional as the regular ball head, and it just takes a little getting used to, and it's not as much flexibility. And if I want to do 90 degrees, I have to extend it out. But the main advantage is once I have this level, right, and I lock it in, the rotator part is separate. I can rotate this separately from the leveling. So that makes doing panoramas and things much more efficient, right? You'll get better stitching with this. With a regular ball head, you know, it's easier to use, right? It's more traditional. with the regular ball head, and you can do 90-degree angle without having to raise the center column. So it's a little bit more standard, I guess, but I prefer inverted ball heads now, uh, because they're more compact. You can see this is more compact. The One of the big disadvantages, though, that I'm seeing, let me just double check. Yeah, both of these tripods don't convert to a monopod, so I can't twist off any of these legs. Not a big deal. It's better to buy a dedicated monopod, in my opinion, rather than having one of these convert. I could get into that. That's a whole nother video. But I prefer dedicated monopods versus and dedicated tripods rather than trying to do it all in one. Even though it's convenient, uh, rarely do I use a monopod. And when I want to use a good one that's dedicated, right, with its own feet and everything on it. So generally, I recommend you buy a tripod and you buy a monopod separately. There's very few situations where I just need to use a monopod anyway. And like I said, when I do, I want it to be a good one. So I hope that helps with your decision making. Of these three, personally, I would buy this one, but I can see why you might want to buy this because of the twist locks and the regular ball head. And then if you're on a budget, this KR one looks like the best deal. $15 off of this. It's just a little bit short. If you need a little bit of height and you're going to pay for it in terms of diameter, this one looks good. And this newer one is the best deal of all of them, save for the head. So I would definitely pay a little more and get this one from GVM rather than buy this. I think this one is going to be much more flexible in the long run because this will take the square head too. The square head plates are Arca Swiss compatible. It's just that this doesn't look like there's 10% off here maybe, or at least 5% off. But I would get this one. That's my pick. My personal pick. Whoops. Okay. Boy, I spent a lot of time on tripods, but so John said don't care for the inverted ball heads. Okay. So the other one then, the one from Suray. Um, looking for inexpensive, not pricey. Okay. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. Those choices there. That's all I could really find doing this live. Maybe but look for those things, right? Those are the key things, right? If you want a regular ball head, look at the ball head size and what the weight capacity is. Because if I recall, you do mostly landscape stuff, right? So you want to travel light. So I prefer these that collapse down really tight like this. Because you can stick this in your bags or on the side of your backpack. It's a lot easier than these inverted things. Okay. But if you haven't made a decision by next week when it's not Prime Day, I do these on Tuesdays normally. That would be the day to come and we can talk about it some more. Maybe I'll find some more by then, or there'll be some other ones on sale. Because Prime Day, the sales are more widespread, but they're not necessarily the best deals, right? They usually are, but not necessarily. Usually you can find the same deal later, but you just have to wait. And then, oh, you gave me some key feedback here. Mostly M43 gear. Okay, yeah. Any of the tripods we talked about today will handle that. A DSLR with an 18 to 140. Yeah, I know exactly that lens, that flash. I have that. I used to have all of that actually. I still have the SB600 and Nikon DSLR, but I don't have the 18 to 40 anymore. Um, but mostly M43, you'll be fine with any of the ones I showed you. It's just the height. You're 5'10", so you're a little taller than me. So you might struggle a little bit with those tripods because they're a little bit short, right? For landscape though, you're typically going to have your tilt screen out and looking down, right? And manually focusing and all of that stuff. Okay, so I pulled a bunch of crap out, but I think I covered most of the stuff that I didn't talk about at all yesterday, and that's what I wanted to get done today. Let me just eyeball. I'm just eyeballing. I did find. I'll cover a couple other things real quick. If you have any other questions, you can ask now. Otherwise, I can wrap this up. There's some filters on sale here that I didn't have yesterday. 72 millimeter filter thread. This will fit uh, some of the older, mostly DSLR lenses and full frame lenses, but always check your filter ring size. There's the 46 we talked about, and there's the 58. This is a very popular size for Micro Four Thirds. A lot of lenses fit this. Also for Fujifilm, a lot of lenses are 58 millimeter filter thread. This is a magnetic set from K&F, very high quality. Okay, that's why it's $85. A couple of nice little canvas bags. These are typically a few dollars more when it's not Prime Day. Uh, but if you like canvas style bags, there's a couple of good choices there, very low price. And canvas is very durable, generally speaking. So you can buy a cheap canvas bag and not worry about long term so much. These are generally very durable. Here's a couple other shoulder bags here that are on sale. I like this one. This one's kind of interesting. This is a new one. It's got a really nice design. The only thing is it has a replaceable strap, so you can like swap the strap out if you want, because it's just a a a hook here, right? But it has some nice features in it, meaning pocket-wise. I like the little zippered pocket here on the top, and I like the front pockets. I like the dividers. The way this you can stack your lenses because Micro Four Third lenses are small, so you can stack your lenses and multiple pockets in the front. Nice zippers. This looks like a really quality, decent size messenger bag with lots of features. Like I said, all of these pockets here, front and back. And it's a double layer of pockets because you have a zippered pocket in the flap itself, then there's a pocket underneath the flap here. So I really like this bag for $26. The only thing I don't like are the uh, the strap. I prefer the straps to be stitched in directly to the bag. But that's a minor thing for a lot of people because if you want, you can replace the strap later if you need to. So I like this, and there's some different colors here. Oh, the green is pretty nice. $2 more. But yeah, there's a lot to like about this bag. Tripod straps on the bottom. The other thing I noticed was you see how this opens up from the outside. This actually makes it a lot easier to get your stuff out. Because a lot of times I'm opening from the outside back towards me and I'm looking over. Whereas if it just kind of flipped up, I'm just kind of looking down, you know? So I kind of like that a little better. So my next bag might have to be like that. It's going to be a while before I buy another bag, but I kind of like the idea. It seems like it would be easier to get things in and out. And that's it. So I didn't see any new questions here. Definitely check out all of the deals on that page. I put a lot of stuff today. There's still a lot of things from yesterday still available at really great prices. Most of the items there I have no problem with, but just keep in mind that a lot of the stuff that I have on that page is sight unseen. But I have a lot of I bought so much stuff over. I bought a lot of stuff today, even, uh, including some of the stuff we talked about. And you know, I have very high level of confidence that everything that I picked on my deal page, you're gonna like for the price that you pay for it. And it's now's a good time, right? Until Black Friday, we probably won't get another day like this where a lot of things are on sale at the same time. So that's why I do these weekly, right? Because every week something goes on sale, and it's as good a price, if not better, than Prime Day and Black Friday. That happens sometimes. So that's why I do these every week to find that deal. Because a lot of this stuff we don't need right away. We can wait, right? Nobody needs a polarizer overnight or same day. I didn't need a 14 terabyte drive same day. I've been shopping for that drive for the last couple of months, and now it finally went on sale at a price that I thought was pretty good. So that's why I do these. So join me every week for these streams, and then catch me on Fridays. I'm gonna try and do a photo editing one this week. I don't know if I can, but I'll have to look at my calendar again and things and see. But I'll definitely be back on Sunday for a normal photo chat, and we'll see what's new on the photography side. So thanks again for joining me today. Be sure to check out my affiliate links down below. Supports all the work that I do here. It's greatly appreciated. Eat healthy, exercise, and I hope to see you again soon.